It was supposed to be just another fancy dinner. The kind where crystal glasses sparkle under golden lights, and soft music floats in the background. But that night, something unexpected happened, something that reminded everyone in that room what kindness truly means. When little Emma looked up from her plate and noticed the waitress's arm trembling slightly as she served the food, she didn't expect her world, or the waitress's, to change forever. What she saw next made her heart stop. Hey everyone, welcome back to Kindness Action, the place where real stories of compassion remind us that one good deed can change everything. If you believe kindness still matters, make sure to subscribe, like, and comment your thoughts below. We love hearing your stories too. Now, let's dive into this powerful story of how a small act of empathy from a little girl melted the heart of a whole restaurant, and changed one woman's life. It was a chilly Friday evening in downtown Chicago. The Wilson family, Robert, his wife Linda, and their 8-year-old daughter Emma, were having dinner at one of the most elegant restaurants in the city. Robert was a successful businessman, the kind of man who always wore a crisp suit and checked his watch more than his surroundings. Emma, however, was different. She was gentle, curious, and had a way of noticing the small things other people didn't. As their waitress approached the table, Emma noticed something strange. The woman, probably in her late 20s, was wearing a white shirt and black apron, her hair tied neatly back. But her eyes looked tired, almost as if she hadn't slept in days. And on her arm, just below her sleeve, Emma spotted something that made her blink twice, a large purple bruise. The waitress tried to smile as she placed the plates down, but her hand trembled slightly. Emma couldn't take her eyes off the bruise. "Daddy," Emma whispered softly, tugging on Robert's sleeve. "Look at her arm." Robert glanced briefly and frowned. "Emma, don't stare," he said quietly. "It's not polite." But Emma couldn't help it. She felt something deep in her chest, a mix of worry and sadness. She watched as the waitress moved from table to table, her smile always a little forced, her eyes never quite meeting anyone's. When the waitress returned to refill their water, Emma looked up and asked gently, "Ma'am, are you okay?" The woman froze for a second. "Oh, yes, sweetheart," she said, forcing a smile. "I'm fine. Just a little clumsy at home, that's all." Emma didn't believe her. And neither, deep down, did her father. After the waitress walked away, Robert watched his daughter's expression. She looked worried, thoughtful, far older than her age. "Sweetheart," he said softly, "sometimes people go through things they don't want to talk about. We can't always help." But Emma shook her head. "Daddy, maybe we can." Her words hit him harder than he expected. Robert had built his success on numbers, deals, and decisions, but not on compassion. Yet something about his daughter's innocence made him pause. As the meal went on, Emma kept glancing toward the waitress. When the woman accidentally dropped a spoon and apologized nervously, Robert noticed how the restaurant manager glared at her coldly. It was as if she couldn't do anything right that night. When they finished eating, Emma looked at her father with pleading eyes. "Can we give her something? Please?" Robert sighed. "You mean a tip?" "No, Daddy," Emma said. "Something more." He didn't know what she meant yet, but he nodded anyway. After paying the bill, Robert asked to speak with the waitress privately. She looked nervous, wiping her hands on her apron as she approached. "Miss," Robert began gently, "my daughter noticed you have a bruise. We don't mean to pry, but, are you safe?" The woman hesitated. Her eyes filled with tears she tried to hold back. I'm fine, really. It's nothing." But Emma reached out and touched her hand. "It's okay," she whispered. "You can tell us." That small gesture, so innocent, so genuine, broke the wall the waitress had built around her heart. Tears streamed down her face as she finally spoke. "It's my boyfriend," she said softly. "I've been trying to leave, but I don't have anywhere to go. I can't afford rent alone. I'm scared." Robert felt a lump rise in his throat. He wasn't used to feeling helpless, but in that moment, he did. He looked down at his daughter, whose eyes were brimming with compassion. "Daddy," Emma said quietly, "we can help her, right?" Robert took a deep breath. "Yes, sweetheart. We can." He pulled out a checkbook from his briefcase, something he almost never used anymore, and began to write. He handed the folded check to the waitress and said, "This isn't charity. It's a chance. Find a safe place, get what you need, and start over." The woman's hands shook as she opened it. When she saw the amount, $5,000, she gasped. "I can't accept this," she stammered. "It's too much." Robert shook his head. "You deserve a life without fear. Consider it a gift from my daughter." The waitress hugged Emma tightly, tears falling freely now. "Thank you," she whispered. "You don't know what this means." A few weeks later, Robert received a handwritten letter in the mail. It was from the waitress. Her name was Melissa. She wrote that she had left her abusive boyfriend, found a small apartment, and even started taking night classes in nursing. She said she would never forget the little girl with the kind eyes who asked, "Are you okay?" Robert read the letter aloud to Emma, and she smiled softly. "See, Daddy," she said. "Kindness works." He hugged her close. "Yes, sweetheart," he whispered. "It really does." From that day on, Robert began to see the world differently. He realized that sometimes, true wealth isn't in what you have, but in what you give. And it all started with one small question from a child who refused to look away. Kindness doesn't always need grand gestures. Sometimes, it's just about noticing someone's pain, and caring enough to act. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone today. Because you never know whose life your kindness might change next. And remember, you're watching Kindness Action, where every story reminds us that compassion is the richest gift of all.